Hello everyone, it's Melody Snowflake, and welcome back to another character analysis video. It's been a very long time since I did one of these, and there's a character I've wanted to talk about for a very long time, but haven't been able to get my thoughts in a coherent enough way to be able to talk about her. And that character is who we're going to be discussing today. This is the character analysis of Miu Iruma from Danganronpa V3. Now, before we begin, judging by the kind of character Miu is, I'd like to give a warning that there will be very slight NSFW mentions. There won't be anything too graphic or too detailed, but this is Miu we're talking about, and there is no way to analyze her without brushing over her more non-family friendly aspects. So if you want to click away because that's not the kind of content you're comfortable with, please do so, because there are going to be a few mentions. Just a little bit, but still, they are gonna be there. So with that out of the way, let's get into Miu Iruma's character analysis. To be very honest, when trying to analyze Miu, I found her quite an interesting and complicated character to analyze. And that's not without trying. I would put in a piece of her character and then find another piece, and I would try to put the two of them together, but the next thing I knew, the first piece slips through my fingers as if it was water, and I completely forgot what I was trying to analyze in the first place because I got confused. In the end, last night, I decided to sit down and write every single piece down in a set of 1,000 word long notes. And after going through all of them and looking at everything as a whole, I feel like I finally get a grasp of her character enough to be able to talk about her. This character analysis will be sticking to canon as much as possible, like with all my other character analyses, which I will link in the description. I have character analyses for Kokichi, Maki, Celeste, Sayaka, and Hiyoko, with more to come, hopefully. Anyway, we're getting a little bit off track. So, Miu Iruma, the ultimate inventor. We are first introduced to her as someone who was a little rude, who says insulting words at other people, and who seems to not be able to take those words back when said at herself. She was searching for medicine, aka drugs, to try and distract herself from the stressful situation they were in, and didn't seem to like being told off in any sense, whether it be Shuichi and Kaede telling her that she was being too rude, or them telling her that she shouldn't be using drugs, etc. So at first, we can already see that Miu is somebody who is very loud, very brash, says whatever is on her mind. And she definitely is very proud of her inventions and her title as the ultimate inventor, as can be seen from the way she screamed that she was the gorgeous girl genius whose good looks and golden brain will go down in history. You can't blame me, that's a very memorable line for some reason. Anyway, Miu is clearly proud of her talent and her abilities as an inventor. She also seems to be proud of her inventions of themselves, because she seems to think they are absolutely awesome. So off the bat, we can conclude that she seems to be an arrogant person, but is that all there is to her? With every character analysis, I like to separate things such as talent and personality, and actions and personality, because I feel like a character's actions and or talent does not equate their entire personality. So I decided to look deeper. The second and most obvious clue on what kind of person Miu is how she reacts to confrontation. The moment someone confronts her, she immediately shrinks up, gets defensive, or both, which immediately tells you that she does not deal with confrontation well. We do not know exactly why this is the case. It's never explained to us in canon, but it's clear that despite her brash, outgoing, I'll say whatever I want personality, she does not seem to deal well with being confronted, which seems contradictory, until you realize that Miu doesn't seem to realize that what she's saying is hurting a lot of people. Okay, maybe she knows that it's hurting a lot of people, but she doesn't know that it's pushing other people away. And that brings me to my next point. To understand why Miu deals really badly with confrontation, we first have to backtrack a little bit to how she sees her inventions and how she hopes others see her inventions. Let's look at her very first free time event with Shuichi as an example. She shows him a bunch of her inventions, and they happen to be a bunch of not safe for work related inventions. Shuichi has a bit of a confused and possibly not a super positive reaction. It's not negative, but he was a little bit on the why is this happening side of things. And Miu was clearly upset, and she said, and I quote, "I just wanted to show you this stuff." That line alone tells me a lot. It tells me that Miu is just simply very interested in NSFW related topics. We all have our interests, and this just happens to be hers. And that's why she centers her inventions around NSFW topics. And she's proud of them. She's proud of her abilities, and she's proud of her inventions. So she wants to show them off. But when she shows them off, people normally don't react very positively. We do not know how often this has occurred, but we can conclude from the way Miu reacted to Shuichi's reaction as she actually has a secret need for approval. As much as she is very proud of herself, very arrogant about her abilities, and very sure about what she can do, she also wants others to feel the same way. She needs to be validated. Miu is insecure deep down. Even though she is arrogant about her inventions, she's proud of it, she thinks she's awesome, she also wants others to feel the same way, because otherwise she's just feeling that way about herself. In other words, she's just giving herself the approval she so desperately wants by feeling this way about herself. And when others don't feel the same way, she immediately shrinks back and feels uncertain or insecure, or as if she's being confronted, which brings us back to the confronting thing. She needs to feel validated, to feel like she has approval, to feel like somebody actually, doesn't have any problems with her as a person or as an inventor. So when people confront her, she shrinks up, gets defensive, or both as a result. So in conclusion to this segment of Miu's character analysis, because we have yet another segment to get through, she has a lot of confidence in herself, but has a strong need for approval. So her confidence, apart from being well placed in the sense that it is good to feel confident in yourself, she is confident partly because she is sure of her abilities, but also partly because she's giving herself approval that she desperately needs to feel deep down. She's telling herself, I am awesome, I am a gorgeous girl genius, I can do this and I can do that, partly because she does think her stuff is cool, but also because she thinks that, she really needs to feel like she's good at something, that she is, worth something, that she is doing something right in the world. And so she's giving herself that approval. And as a result, she's not very good at dealing with confrontation, being told she's wrong, or, being met with any sort of negativity in relation to her inventions. It's honestly pretty sad if you think about it, because she has no way to healthily express that she needs that, or to healthily give herself that confidence in a way that doesn't need anyone else's approval. Of course, there is also the thing where people seem to like her inventions, such as her eye drop contact lenses, but she just brushes it off as saying that that's not her best work and it's really dumb that people likes that. That seems to go against what we just said, because they're giving her approval. Why isn't she happy? Well, we gotta go back to the fact that she really likes inventing NSFW-related content and NSFW-related inventions. It's her main interest, and as every creator can tell you, it's always really disheartening when someone takes interest in one of your creations that you weren't particularly proud of or weren't particularly interested in, and yet everyone is saying it's your best work, or everyone is marveling at it, and you're just like, but that's not what I want to be known for. So that's what Miu is feeling. She is basically saying, well, yeah, I want people to appreciate my work, but not that kind of work. That's not what I want to be known for. That's not what I'm proud of. That's not me. That doesn't represent me as a person. Oh, and you know how she doesn't deal well with confrontation? That should not be confused with her degrading kink that she has, because it's also pretty clear that when someone says anything negative and or sexual towards her, she also shrinks up and seems to get aroused from it. So Miu is also a little bit of a degrading kink person. But that makes sense, since she has a dirty mind, and that's just where her brain goes, and since she doesn't deal well with confrontation, and since those words affect her a lot, it would make sense that combined with her dirty mind... Oh my goodness, there is thunder in the background. I apologize for that. I happen to be recording in a balcony, and there isn't any other place for me to record, and I really needed to get all these feelings about the character out before I forget them again. But anyway, combine the fact that confrontational words affect her and the fact that she has a dirty mind and she's interested in SFW content, that can't be the only reason. She's obviously also just someone who, gets sexual attraction. She gets aroused by those things because they dig deeper than usual, I suppose. Or maybe she just likes it. Who knows? There might not be even much more to say about that than the fact that that's just one of her kinks, and there's nothing more to say about it. So that concludes the first half of the Miu character analysis, but there is a second half as well, and I saved this for later because this gets into chapter 4 of the game, and that's where things get really complicated. So, dramatic thunder time. Chapter 4 of the game. The chapter where, as we all know, Miu intended to commit a murder and create a scenario where she wouldn't be caught so that she can survive. Before we antagonize Miu for this, I've got to mention that there were tons of other Blackens before her who tried this already, in the sense that they all wanted to commit a murder and survive. So Miu trying to do that was no different. The only difference is that she actually had the means to make her plan almost completely flawless. By attempting her murder in the virtual world, and by being extremely good with technology and inventions, she was able to modify the virtual world in such a way that it was to her advantage, and she would be able to commit a murder that would be almost virtually untraceable back to her. So, if it wasn't for Kokichi and Gonta's meddling, she would have succeeded. So, we already know she's smart, so that can be added into the list of things we're going to analyze about her. But we don't need to analyze her smarts, so let's go into why she did all that. Her reasoning in Chapter 4 is that she is a great inventor and the world needs her amazing inventions, so she should survive and get out of there. But it's also clear by looking not that much deeper that she was scared and wanted to get out of the killing game. There's even a line where she tells people that if they ever find a way out of there, they should not leave her behind. She even said, "Please don't leave me behind." It is clear that Miu is scared. She's been terrified about the killing game from day one. Remember how she was looking for drugs and medication to distract herself? Miu gets distressed very easily. She's a hard worker, yes. She wants approval, yes. And she's insecure, yes. Add distress to the list of everything. She gets distressed easily. She gets scared easily, but because of her brash personality and just who she is as a person, she doesn't talk about her feelings very much. So it bottles up inside, and by the time of chapter 4, it's reached a breaking point. She's been close to Kokichi up to this point, and I guess just like with Sayaka, who in chapter 1 of the first game decided to frame Makoto, she thought, well, Kokichi would understand, we're close. She definitely has a need for approval, so she wouldn't just kill someone who she knew would hate her for it if it somehow failed. Of course, she didn't think it would fail, but still, she has that insecurity down there. So, we backtracked a little. Miu is frightened. She's scared, and she's not good at showing it. It's pretty clear. So, she ends up letting that fear fester to the point where she takes drastic action. In summary, Miu is somebody who is, 1, extremely confident in her abilities, but 2, needs approval, so part of that confidence is her giving approval to herself. 3, deals really badly with confrontation because she is someone who needs approval. And 4, because of all the insecurities, she also doesn't express her feelings easily. That includes the fact that she gets distressed and scared, and all those feelings fester until she does something drastic. Oh, and she has a degrading kink, of course. But everything combined shows that Miu Iruma is a more complicated character than one might give her credit for. Her plan to kill Kokichi may have failed in the end, and she honestly must have been terrified in her last moments. I do feel bad for her in the sense that she never really got a chance to properly let out her feelings. She's not the kind of person who seems to open up easily, and she really desperately needs that, because otherwise she's going to let all these negative feelings fester. She's going to feel insecure. She's going to feel scared. She's going to feel distressed, and she's going to do something crazy about it because she's smart enough and has the ability to do something. Unfortunately, that something might not always be the best option. But it also shows that she is, despite her constant, brash appearance on the outside and the way she talks, it also shows that she's really just human, like everyone else. And we should also think about how she's feeling on the inside. It may not be as easy to spot because she's always not showing it, but a big hint is how she reacts to confrontation. There is a lot there, and it opens a whole window into a part of her character that we don't seem to notice as much. A part of her that she doesn't let anyone else see, but that is very real and very much there. A part of her that emerges when she is being confronted or distressed. A part of her that led her to try and commit a murder to a friend in chapter 4. Miu Iruma is but human. All the characters in Danganronpa are. They may have done crazy things or almost killed a bunch of people or even succeeded in some cases, but they all are fueled by emotions that every human experiences. Pain, fear, sadness, grief, insecurities. And when looking at Danganronpa characters, one of the most important things to remember, in my opinion, is that they're all human. They can all be affected by these feelings and these motives that Monokuma gives out. And that despite how they act on the outside, they all have something going for them deep down as well. There's something that drives them to do the things they do, act the way they do. And if anything, I think Miu could really benefit from someone who could actually listen to her and not judge her for once, because then she'd be able to be her true self. I think that is why she was so taken to Kibo. Kibo was a robot, and therefore was already a piece of amazing technology. he wouldn't judge her for talking about technology. And he was really innocent in the sense that he would not get half the NSFW things she was talking about anyway. So when she goes on about them, he can't judge her. It also might explain why she spends so much time in her lab alone. It's not like she can talk to anyone. And it's not like she can express herself. She doesn't know how. She may have pushed everyone else away by the way she acts. But judging by her strong need for approval, I don't think it was intentional. I don't think she meant to push everyone else away. I think she was just being herself and just didn't want anyone else to judge her. In a way, she's similar to Kokichi, who just wants to be himself and not let anyone else judge him. They are very different characters, even though on the surface they seem like brash people who just want to do and say whatever they want. But they both definitely have that inner feeling of wanting to be understood. It's probably why they became close in the first place. With that concludes my character analysis of Miu Iruma. I apologize for any background noise, such as thunder you might have heard in the background, or that one dog that barked at one point, but I really wanted to get this out. And I haven't seen any character analysis of Miu yet, let alone one that's empathetic to her character. I think that despite how she acts, she deserves a bit more love and a bit more empathy, because I think that with the right support, she can truly open up and be an even more amazing person than she already is. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.